He thought out the Constitution of the United States and the details of the government of the Union, and out of the chaos that existed after the Revolution, raised a fabric every part of which is instinct with his thought. So said one of his contemporaries, Ambrose Spencer, of Alexander Hamilton, and another said, "He did the thinking of his time." The thinking that Hamilton did for the young American Republic was of the most tremendous and vital importance to it. His services as a financier were not merely of a negative or saving character. They were positively constructive and permanently enduring. He created a public credit and brought the resources of the country into active efficiency. It was Hamilton who founded the American system of business and finance. Yet it is altogether likely that, but for an accidental circumstance or two, Alexander Hamilton would never have come to the continental colonies. He was born on the island of Nevis in the West Indies, and upon that island and upon St. Christopher and St. Croix neighboring islands, his life up to the age of 15 was spent. His father, James Hamilton, had proved feckless and unfortunate, as a British biographer of Hamilton expresses it, and early ceased to provide for the boy or apparently to take any interest in his education or welfare. His mother died early and left him to the charge of her relatives, and as she bequeathed to them several other children, they had little thought about Alexander except to make him of some use and lighten their own burden. He was sent to school scarcely at all, and at the age of 12 was put into the shop or store of Nicholas Kruger, a general dealer at St. Croix, to earn his living as a clerk. There he remained for about 3 years. He has often been described as phenomenally precocious, and he certainly was, in the sense that his mind ripened early. But there was nothing of the quality of smart, self-satisfied immaturity about his genius. He read much, studied deeply, and received some good training at the hands of the Reverend Hugh Knox, a Presbyterian minister. But all at once there occurred the accident which resulted in his going to the continental colonies. In the late summer of 1772, a fearful hurricane swept over the Leeward Islands. The boy Hamilton, then 15 years old, had his full share in the adventures attending this calamity and wrote a long and vivid account of it for a newspaper published at St. Christopher. By this brilliant piece of newswork, the entire West Indies were electrified. The people there had had plenty of hurricanes before, but none of them had ever been adequately written up. Young Hamilton awoke one morning to find himself in the enjoyment of a fame which extended all the way from Jamaica to Trinidad. The immediate result of this notoriety was to convince Alexander's relatives that they possessed in him a prodigy, and to stimulate them to find means to educate him. They raised a fund forthwith, without any particular difficulty, and shipped him armed with a letter of introduction from Mr. Knox to Boston, en route to New York. Lacking this assistance, it is unlikely that the youth would have found his way to the American shores. Perhaps he would, in spite of everything, have risen to eminence in the West Indies. Very likely, he would one day have drifted to Scotland or England, and he might have become a famous man there. But America would have lost him. There is still another and vital contingency associated with Hamilton's removal to the American continent. On its way to Boston, while in the open ocean, the ship on which he had sailed took fire. For some time it was in danger of destruction, but with great difficulty the flames were extinguished. If they had prevailed, the career of the West Indian genius would doubtless have been cut short by death. Thus, by the aid first of a tropical hurricane, and second, through the efforts of the crew of the ship that bore him, in stifling a fire in the hold, Alexander Hamilton reached the American colonies just in time to be swept into the current of the movement for independence, to be made over anew into an ardent American, and to put his stamp forever upon the young nation which arose from the smoke of Bunker Hill. The dark-skinned, dark-eyed, exotic-looking student at King's College, whom the citizens of New York at first looked at askance as a very odd West Indian, became a great leader, a commander, a guide, a magnificent constructive as well as restraining force. What this country would have been without him, or rather what it must forever have failed to be, may be inferred from the things which it became that were owed to him. He was the inventor of American protection. American industry was founded upon his report on manufactures, As the first and greatest of federalists, he saved the Confederation from disruption by supplying the idea of central authority. Others might labor for freedom. He labored for security. He put reason at the bottom of the Commonwealth. Without his principles, the Republic would have lacked a balance wheel. The states' rights would have been everything, the nation's rights, nothing. All the national expansion was wrapped up in Hamilton's views. The sentiment which governs the Republic today is Hamiltonian, and the war and discord that have afflicted it as the result of the looseness of the Confederation must long since have wrecked the nation but for the balance wheel with which he supplied.